Hello everyone. In today's lecture, I want to introduce you the fatty acid nomenclature and structure. So before I go to my lecture, I want to first ask you some questions. Have you heard of some commercial claims that we contain a lot of omega-3 fish oil, which is very good for your heart? Or have you heard of some infant formula contains a lot of EPA and DHA, which is very healthy for your baby? I think after this lecture you will be familiar with this word. So, before I go to my lecture, I want to first show you some common structure or some basic structure of fatty acid. Based on this structure, you can find some common features of this fatty acid, and then we can give fatty acid a name. Okay, so give you 10 seconds. You can tell me what is the common structure, common features or characteristic in this structure. Very simple. Okay, I think all of you guys have know the structure. All of you guys have know the features of the structure, right? They both contains the methyl group, and the carboxyl group, right? So it also has a long chain. So what is fatty acid? Fatty acids are mainly composed of a long chain of hydrocarbon and yin carboxyl group and methyl group, right? Very easy. So I think one easy way to remember the definition of fatty acid is that you remember this structure here. They have a long chain. They have a carboxyl group and a methyl group end, right? Okay, so let's look at the next page. I think some of you guys has also heard like a saturated fatty acid and unsaturated fatty acid before, right? So what's the difference between these two words? Similar way, we first look at the structure of these three fatty acids. This two fatty acid is unsaturated fatty acid, and this one is saturated fatty acid. You can see here, the unsaturated fatty acid contains multiple double bonds, while the saturated fatty acid have no double bonds. So the saturated fatty acid refers to the fatty acid has no double bond between the carbon atoms, while the unsaturated fatty acid have one or more double bonds between the carbon atoms. If the fatty acid has only one double bond, we call it monounsaturated fatty acid. If it contains more than one double bonds, we can call it polyunsaturated double fatty acid. Okay, so pretty simple. It's pretty simple now, right? Any confused? Any questions by now? Okay, so let's move to next part. It's a little hard. Okay, so in this part, I will tell you how to give the fatty acid a name. Okay, there are two structures of fatty acid here. One is stearic fatty acid, another is allylic fatty acid. So here is the name of this fatty acid. So think of 3 questions now. What does the 18 mean? Here. They both have 18 here, right? And what does the 1 and the 0 mean? And what does delta 9 mean? I can give you a hint. Just look at the structure. 10 minutes. Oh, not 10 minutes, 10 seconds. Okay. So if you are carefully looking at the structure, you can see here. The 18 means how many carbons it contains in the fatty acid, right? You can count again. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 18. So it contains 18 bonds. So we write 18 here. Oh, remember I talking about before. This one is unsaturated fatty acid because it has no double bond, right? So we should write a 0 here. The 0 indicates how many double bonds it has. By contrast, this structure has 1 double bond. It is mono unsaturated fatty acid. So we write a 1 here. So I can repeat again. It's a little confused, I think you are. 18 indicates how many carbons in the structure, and the 0, the number following in 18 is indicate how many double bonds in the structure. If it has no double bonds, we just write 0. If it has 2, we write 2. If it has 3, we write 3, right? So let's look at what does the delta 9 mean. The delta 9 refers to the position of the unsaturated double bond from the carboxyl group here. You should keep in mind the delta means the position from you should count the double bond from the carboxyl end, not the methyl end. It's a very important point. Okay, so now we go to a little harder. We have some practice. So based on what I have talked about before, you can tell me what is give me this one a name. First, it has 3 steps, I can tell you. The first step, you count how many carbon in structure. If it is 18, you write 18 here. If it is 20, you write 20 here. In addition, if there is 22, you just write 22 here, right? The second step is to count how many double bond in this structure. If there is 2, you just write 2. If it is 5, you write 5. If it is 6 in this situation, you write 6. If it is no double bond, you just write 0. Right? So the second step, the third step, you count double bond, the position of the double bond from the carboxyl end. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 9. From the 9, the first position is 9. The second is 12. So it's write a 9 and 12 here. Similarly, in this structure, you count the double bond from this end, COHOO end. The first one is in the position 5, second the position 8, third 11, 14, 9. So you just write the position here. It's pretty simple, right? Okay, so let's go to a most important and interesting part, omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acid. Remember, I tell you before, the delta 9 means what's the position of the double bond from the carboxyl group. So if you want to name the omega-3 and omega-6, and you should from the methyl group here. then you count the position of the first double bond. If it's in the position 3, it is omega-3 fatty acid. If it is in the first position is 6, then we say it is omega-6 fatty acid, right? Pretty simple. So you should know the difference of the omega and the delta. Omega means you count the double bond from the methyl group, right? And delta means you count double bond from the, tell me. Okay, from the COOH group. You count it from the different end, right? It's pretty simple. Okay, so I give you a practice here. Identify the omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acid. The first one is omega 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, omega-6 fatty acid, right? The second is also omega-6 fatty acid, right? The third is also it is omega-3 fatty acid, right? The fourth one, omega-6. This one, omega-3. Yeah, it's pretty simple. So I can review the key point again. In this lecture, we talk about the basic structure of fatty acid, and I also tell you how to give the fatty acid a name, right? Remember the 3 steps here. The first step, count the carbon atom. How many carbon atoms in the structure? Write it first. Second, count how many double bonds here. If it's 2, write 2. Third, count the first double bond from the COOH group here. Write the position here. And we also talk about how to identify the omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acid, right? It's not from the COOH end, it's from the, yes, it's the methyl end. If it is 6, we say omega-3. If it is 3, we say, if it is 6, we say omega-6 fatty acid. If it is 3, we say omega-3 fatty acid, right? Okay, thank you.